Hello and welcome to the Analysts Academy. Today we're going to be talking about what is an estimate. I understand that for most of you, an estimate, the idea of an estimate is not unusual. We make estimates every day. Businesses make estimates about sales forecasts, militaries make estimates, and generals make estimates about enemies and their courses of action and what they intend to do. Even football players, particularly defensive backs in this case, make estimates about where the quarterback's going to throw the ball in order to make an interception. But for our purposes, the idea of an estimate begins with a cow. In fact, this particular cow was at a fair in 1906 in England when this gentleman, a guy by the name of Francis Galton, Galton was one of the fathers of modern statistics, and I know, boo, boo, but stay with me, this is actually kind of cool. Galton went to the fair and noticed something really interesting. Some 800 people were asked to make an estimate about the weight of this particular cow. And not only did nobody get it right, the answer, by the way, was 1,198 pounds. What Galton noticed, though, is that the average of all the 800 guesses came out to be not only very, very, very close to the actual weight, but was in fact the best guess of all. This research has been expanded upon in many ways and replicated many times since 1906. And concepts such as crowdsourcing and books such as The Wisdom of the Crowds are really direct intellectual descendants of Galton's original experiments. The concept behind these sorts of ideas is the same. You get a bunch of people together, ask them what they think, average their results, or combine their inputs, and it will produce, if not, in many cases, the very best possible estimate, but it almost always produces a very good estimate. We on the Daggre team are interested in estimates as well, but not estimates about cattle. In fact, what we're interested in is the kinds of estimates made by intelligence analysts working for the Central Intelligence Agency or other agencies of the United States government or even abroad. Questions like, will country X and country Y go to war in the next 12 months? This is obviously a much more difficult question than the one that Galton looked at back in 1906. However, the same strategy seems like the same strategy ought to work. Get a bunch of experts together and have them make estimates about what's the likelihood that this will or will not occur. And some of them might say, there's a 75% chance that they'll go to war in the next 12 months, or there's a 60% chance, or there's an 80% chance. And you'd take a bunch of those estimates together and you'd average them, and the final number, 72.5% or whatever it was, would be the estimate that is of likelihood that these two countries are going to go to war. When we've done that, however, on questions like this, what we've realized pretty quickly is that we don't get that good of an answer. It's not a terrible answer, typically, but it's not that good. And the purpose of this particular program, what we're going to be doing over the next 12 months, is to try and make that estimate better. Figure out a way to get that estimate closer to the right estimate. So how are we going to do that? Well, we've got a number of techniques that we're going to use to try and make these forecasts better. The first one is we're going to take these pieces of the question, and we're going to break it down into smaller pieces. We think that'll make it easier for people to make estimates. We're going to allow you to choose the questions that you want to answer. Presumably you feel more comfortable or have better knowledge about some questions than others, and that this will allow you the opportunity to pick those ones where you think you can do best. Third, we're going to provide you with an opportunity to learn professional forecasting techniques. We're going to be talking a lot over the course of the next 12 months about forecasting and how to do forecasts better, make these sorts of estimates better. We're also going to give you feedback on your forecast. You're going to know how you're doing, mostly through the leaderboard, but through other mechanisms as well. And finally, we're going to take your individual forecasts and mathematically combine them in a way that these smaller pieces will become a clear estimate of the larger question. We think putting all of these together gives you and us the best opportunity to create a really solid estimate on these very, very difficult questions.